guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a worth the buy or nah palette review on the new Sultry Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. I am so excited about this guy. I'm a huge fan of Anastasia palettes, and I was a very big fan of the Norvina palette. I've literally used it every single day. So I was like, you know what? I need a new palette, I need a new situation, I need something that's going to replace that. So I'm really excited about the Sultry palette because I think this is gonna be a fun palette to dive into. And I feel like it's very different than what we're used to. It's different than the typical one. So let's just dig deep into these and see what happens with this look. Okay, so I already went ahead and applied foundation like I just mentioned, and in my brows. I have foundation over top this eye, but I don't have any eye primer. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the Urban Decay eyeshadow potion, and I'm just going to be applying that all over my lid. And I'm telling you, the Urban Decay eyeshadow potion makes a big difference. And I'm gonna be taking my Morphe M173, which you guys often see me use for the eye to prep, because it's kind of like a little foundation brush, but for the eye. But yeah, like I was saying, I feel like this Urban Decay primer potion made such a difference for me. I know you guys have been recommending that Ulta has one very similar for much more affordable, so I will be definitely trying that one out and seeing how it works and seeing if this could be a possible dupe for the Urban Decay one, because the Urban Decay one is expensive. So, oh God, this is so intense because I just don't know what colors to use. So as you can see, this is what the palette looks like. It has some gorgeous shades. I think I'm gonna dive into this shade right here because it's the most different looking out of all the mattes that we have. So we're gonna take the shade Birch and start to apply it right on our crease area where I always apply my transition color. I feel like that's the perfect transition color for the eyes. I also really appreciate how Anastasia Beverly Hills always does a really good job of having a good even distribution of mattes and shimmers. I feel like that's very important. I could never purchase a palette that was just shimmers because I feel like a palette that's just shimmers, like what's the point? I know that we have palettes that have mattes, and we have a lot of mattes in our collections, but still, I want a palette where I know that if I were to really enjoy that palette, I could easily take it for traveling and not have to pack any extra palettes because it does have the shimmers and the mattes. So we're just gonna build this up. There is fallout on the Shadow Birch, so that's just something to note. Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes do naturally have a lot of fallout, I'm not going to lie, but I have to say that their pigmentation is always so on point that I kind of don't mind the fallout. We honestly have a few options. We can either go darker with this dark color, or we can go in with this color right here and kind of see what happens. I think I'm gonna go in with the color Slate, which is that one right there, because I want to kind of keep this like situation more on the cool side. And I'm just gonna go ahead and apply it over top of the color Birch, which we first went in with, and you can see that it almost looks like the color that we first went in, Birch, which was the kind of like more of that warm color, that like cool warm color. I feel like complements this color Slate. Now you can tell the difference between the two, but at first I was like, it looks like it's gonna look exactly the same. But that's definitely an intense fierce gray. I feel like grays always pick up really well on my eyes. I don't know why, maybe it's because of my complexion. But I feel like on people that have more of the fair skinned, like the warms look really rich. And I feel like on me, the cools look really rich. That looks nice and it blended out very well. Let me take a little bit more of the color Slate. And in case you're wondering, I'm using a Delium Tool small tapered blender. And I like it also, it kind of reminds me of the JH brush that I like to use because it has that like little point at the top. Okay, and I'm just trying to make this as round as possible. And as you can see, I'm not going in too far in here because I don't want it to look like somebody hit me in the eye. I just like kind of like to give it the illusion that I'm creating like a socket in there. even though my eyes are hooded, so they just like fold down. Those colors blend together, look very nice, but I do have to say the first color that we went in with, I feel like gave this color a very nice, cool like transition, even though I feel like it was supposed to look a little bit warmer on me, but it didn't. So that's just something to note. So now we're going to be creating a little bit of a crease situation. I'm trying to figure out how I want to do this though. Do I want to actually cut the crease, or do I want to go in and just use my MAC 242? I think I'm just going to use my MAC 242 because I want to make it more practical for you guys. I don't want you guys to think, oh, she cut the crease, so I have to do it. I don't want to do it. Or like, I don't know how to cut the crease perfectly like she does. So I think we're going to go in right now, and we are just going to go ahead and take the color that we want to use on our lid. I still want to keep this eye look on the cool side. I feel like all these colors are super beautiful, like all the shimmers are super beautiful, but I kind of want to go in with the silver just because I feel like the silver is going to give this look a little bit of a different type of vibe. So let's go ahead and just take that. This look can match my jewelry. Okay, so I want to quickly say that when I first went in and I like tapped it into the pan, it doesn't look like it's picking up anything on my brush. So I was like, wow, this isn't going to be pigmented. But once I swiped it, you guys can see that it really did pick up a lot. So I was impressed with that. You guys know when you don't cut the crease with concealer, always go over your crease so that you are able to kind of have that little space so that it doesn't fold into the lid and it doesn't get like all over and look messy. That's why I like to cut the crease, even if it's just with the shadow, because it helps the look stay clean. Okay, that was very pigmented, but Anastasia Beverly Hills shadows are naturally very pigmented ones, so you don't really have to worry about them not looking so nice and highly pigmented. And we're just leaving it like this because we're going to go in with another shade on this outer edge to kind of start making this look a little bit more of the smoky eye effect. And I kind of like to, what I like to do is I kind of like to put it past where my pupil is. So as you can see, I kind of left it a little bit after where my pupil ends, and that's where I'm gonna apply that color. The mistake I used to make when I was younger is that I was kind of like legit do it like split in half, but that's not a smoky eye. You kind of definitely wanna do a majority of the lid with the shimmer and then the last little space with the matte color. I have to say, I already like where this looks going. And I was like really unsure. Whenever I do these type of videos, I'm just like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing, but right now I'm pretty pleased. Okay, so now I'm gonna be using the round blender, which is another Delium Tools brush from the Gold Triangle collection. And I'm just gonna be packing the color on this outer edge. I like to use big, fluffy, like fat brushes to pack on the color because I feel like it does a really good job. So we're just gonna be taking the shade Slate, which we used, which was that nice gray shade, and we're going to pack that in on this outer edge. We're starting off with this color because we kind of want to create a base for what we're going to do next. Just kind of also want to make it rounded. Don't worry about that outer edge just yet because we're going to go back and clean it. So don't feel like, oh my God, I messed it up because I didn't do it just how she did it. I would just recommend rounding it out because I feel like it's easier once you go back and clean it because you just sharpen the edge as opposed to trying to create that sharp edge and then it not matching this eye. And then we're gonna go in with a blending brush. I'm gonna be taking this Sigma E40, really diffusing that out. So now we're gonna go in with Noir, and that is the darkest, blackest shade. And it looks so dark, and Anastasia also does a really good job of making their black shades super duper dark and intense, which I think is amazing, especially if you are going to be using the black shade. And then we're gonna begin taking that black shade and putting it on top of the color Slate, which is that grayish shade. And we're going to try our best to kind of keep it just in this little part. So you don't want to take it too high. And even if you take it a little bit high, like I did right there, it's okay. We're gonna blend, we're gonna still clean up, no worries, but it definitely makes a difference. So this is kind of what we do. We kind of just stamp it right here as we're beginning the process of figuring out where we're placing it and how it's gonna look and complement the rest of the eye. But then we're gonna move on to a smaller brush, which you guys will see in a second me use. And I know a lot of you guys probably like, you know, I have a lot of the Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes and I always look at the black shade and I don't know what to do with it. I'm scared of it. I don't want to look like I have a black eye. I personally always like to use the black shades in the Anastasia palettes for outer edges. So like if I want to add a lot of dimension to my look, I like to use it for these edges. Or if I want to do a smoked out wing liner, I like to use the black shade as well, because it's almost like you're using a liquid liner, a gel liner, a pencil liner. It's pretty much the same thing. You're using a black, except this one is a shadow. And I feel like this one is easier to control when you're using shadows, because I feel like shadows, you can easily kind of work with them, as opposed to using a gel liner or something like that. Like once you put it down, it's down and there's no way of fixing it. With shadow, you can always go ahead and blend it out, make it a little bit more smoky, make it not so intense. But what I do have to say about these, if you do plan on using this black shade as shadow, is be careful with it, because the blacks in the Anastasia palettes have a lot of fallout. So if you do your face makeup first and then you go ahead and do like a liner with the black shadow, then there's gonna be a lot of fallout below. So make sure that you either put on some powder underneath, or you do your eyes first and then you do the foundation. So that's just something to note. So now I'm gonna go back in with my Morphe M506, this little tiny blending guy. I love this brush, especially once I begin blending. So once I stamped on that black shadow, I start to kind of blend the black into the shimmery like silver color that we have going on the majority of our lid. And I do this because I kind of want to blend them together so that it doesn't look harsh, but also kind of diffuse out the black, because it's definitely a very intense black, and sometimes you don't want that much intensity. You kind of just want it to look a little bit more low-key and subtle. And you also want to blend that black into the gray that we have already on our crease. And something else that you want to note is that when you go in and blend the shimmery color with the matte color, you're definitely going to get some of that shimmer on the matte. It's gonna happen because it's a very shimmery color, and you're blending it, so you're working with both of the shadows together. There's no way you're gonna avoid it. So just kind of have fun with it. I'm gonna go back in with the brush that we used to apply that gray color onto our crease, and we're going to kind of just blend that outwards just a little bit, just so that it still blends perfectly in with the dark edge. And yeah, that's what we have so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on this side, and then I will be right back and we'll have a very dramatic, gorgeous eye look. I'm so excited. I love how this looks. So as you can see, I went ahead and finished both eyes, and I did lashes and everything, and I'm feeling super snatched. The only thing you guys didn't see was obviously me put the lashes on. I used Ardell Demi Wispies. I think these are called the double Demi Wispies, so they're a little bit more fierce. And then I did liner. I didn't want to do a wing liner because I felt like they're already like sharp and cut on the edge, and you have the black going on, that you didn't need a wing. So now we're gonna go ahead and finish these eyes, because I definitely want to show you guys the use of other colors. So I always am thankful when Anastasia includes these like very light shades, like this color Fresh. It's definitely a repeat. I've seen this before. But I like that because I feel like it's essential to have like a nice like white cream shade in there that's matte, whether it's to kind of like set the concealer if you're doing like a cut crease and you need like a base, like a starting point, or if you want to go ahead and do a little brow bone highlight. And I'm just going to be taking it right here. You can see like it adds like a nice pretty lift. So today we're going to skip out on the inner tear duct highlight and running a color down our lower lash line and smoking it out, because I kind of want to just keep the intensity and the drama on the top of the eye. So we're gonna leave that be, but I just really am a fan of this eye look right now. Like I'm feeling myself, like truly feeling myself. Okay, so this is the completed eye look. I really hope that you guys like seeing me use these shadows in the Sultry palette in action. To be honest, I have to say I'm very impressed with this look. I love how it turned out. You know when you just do those looks and you're just like, wow, this came out perfect, like just how I envisioned it. But I do want to talk about overall the color scheme and the concept. This black is bugging me. I do have to say, I feel like these colors are very nice and different and very unique. I feel like they do have those nice like cooler tones, and I feel like it's fun because like I mentioned, we all have so many warm tone palettes. So it's cool to see something a little bit more neutral, a little bit more different out of our element. This isn't a look that I would typically do on my eyes. I feel like it's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I feel like that's the fun thing about the Anastasia palettes lately. For example, the Norvina palette, I mentioned that in that review. I said, you know what? This palette is absolutely beautiful, but it's something so out of my element. Like I don't really use these colors all the time. And then as I started using it more and more, I was like, wow, if it wasn't for this palette, I wouldn't have gotten out of my comfort zone that I'm constantly in. So I feel like Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes do a really good job of taking me out of my comfort zone and making me like explore with other colors. And I really appreciate that. As for the fallout, there's a lot of fallout in these. Just like in any other Anastasia palette, if you guys have tried Anastasia palettes, you know what I'm talking about. It's not as bad as like subculture situation, even though I do like the subculture. It's not like that intense, but you do have fallout. So if you're not a fallout fan, you probably won't like these type of palettes because I feel like they all have similar fallouts, but they do show very strong pigmentation once on the lid. As for the shimmer colors, I feel like a lot of these are repeats from what I've seen before. Like in the sense of like similar colors, they never fail to have the blackish black, which is called Noir, which I think is great. I think it's always really cool to have a black shade. I also feel like it's very cool to have a cream shade like this. Fresh, it's either fresh or base that I constantly see, and I really love that. I feel like all these shimmers are beautiful. They're very wearable. I feel like they're great for the holidays coming up. I could definitely see myself using this a lot during those times of the year. And whenever I see these types of palettes, I automatically think like a smoky eye, like a really pretty fun night look. And I feel like that's what you would get really good use out of this palette for night looks. If you're somebody that's looking for something that they're gonna wear to parties or like to an event or to a nice dinner, something like that where you want to kind of get out of your element, then this is going to be your BFF. But I definitely don't think this is worth a buy for your typical everyday or like for everybody. I think it's very select few who are going to really like it. Now, the packaging is what probably is going to sell a lot of people because this packaging is incredible. Also, I feel like Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes have a tendency to more so be like collector's items because I feel like a lot of us have like every single one of them. I know I do, and I'm just like addicted to them. And I will probably continue purchasing them for as long as they have them because that's just how I am. I literally have them all over the place. I have two right here. I have another one right there. I have a bunch like put away. But that's just how it goes. But I do have to give it to them for always having really great packaging, having shadows that worked really well on the lids, as you guys saw in my tutorial. And if you guys have purchased this palette, I want to know your thoughts on the palette and how you wear it. Would you wear this for day and night, or would you just wear this for night? So I want to know all your thoughts down below. Please don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it. Lets me know to continue doing my palette reviews. I love doing eyeshadow palette reviews lately. I feel like it really gets that creativity out of me, and like it's fun to just kind of create some looks for you guys and show you guys how I, you know, use a palette. And if you guys have any suggestions for other palettes you want to see here on my channel be reviewed, then please go ahead and leave them down below in my comment section. All the other information of what I used on my face will be listed in my description box, so you guys can check that out. And please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. I would love for you to become a member of family here on YouTube because I wouldn't want you guys to miss my fun videos for the world. So that being said, I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon for a brand new video. Bye, guys.